Hello everyone! I have a new book for you today. It's called Mr. Seahorse by Eric Carle. He wrote The Hungry Caterpillar, and he has beautiful colors in his books. That's why I wanted to read this one to you. It's a really nice story about a seahorse dad and some other fish in the sea and how they take care of their babies. Mr. and Mrs. Seahorse drifted gently through the sea. Mrs. Seahorse began to wiggle and twist, this way and that. This is Mrs. Seahorse. It's time for me to lay my eggs, she said. Can I help? Asked Mr. Seahorse. Oh, yes, thank you, said Mrs. Seahorse. And she laid her eggs into a pouch on Mr. Seahorse's belly. I'll take good care of our eggs, said Mr. Seahorse. I promise. The dad seahorse carries the eggs in his pouch in his belly. As Mr. Seahorse drifted gently through the sea, he passed right by a group of trumpet fish hidden in a patch of weeds. So Mr. Seahorse is going gently through the sea, and he comes along a patch. And here behind the reeds, look at that, there's the trumpet fish. A group of trumpet fish hidden in a patch of reeds. You couldn't see them before. Here's the patch of reeds. And then there they appear. Isn't that fun? But before long, Mr. Seahorse met another fish. How are you, Mr. Stickleback? Asked Mr. Seahorse. Delighted, replied Mr. Stickleback. I just built a nest, and right away Mrs. Stickleback laid her eggs into it. Now I am taking care of them until they hatch. Keep up the good work, said Mr. Seahorse, and swam on his way. So here's a stickleback fish in his nest, taking care of all of his fish eggs. As Mr. Seahorse drifted gently through the sea, he passed right by a lionfish hidden behind a coral reef. So here's Mr. Seahorse drifting along. There's the coral reef. And let's see what's hidden behind it. Look at it. It's the lionfish. Kind of looks like a lion with the mane all around. It's the lionfish. But before long, Mr. Seahorse met another fish. How are you, Mr. Tilapia? Asked Mr. Seahorse. Mr. Tilapia couldn't answer. His mouth was full of eggs. I know, said Mr. Seahorse. Mrs. Tilapia laid her eggs. Now you are taking good care of them until they hatch. Mr. Tilapia nodded his head. You must be very happy, said Mr. Seahorse, and swam on his way. Here's Mr. Tilapia. He carries all his baby eggs in his mouth until they hatch. That's a lot of work. I didn't know tilapia fish did that. As Mr. Seahorse drifted gently through the sea, he passed right by several leaf fish hidden among the seaweed. Look at the seaweed. Can you see the leaf fish hidden in there until I turn the leaves over? Let's see if you can see that. See the camouflage? Now you can see their shadows. Now you know those. Those are leaf fish hidden among the seaweed. But before long, Mr. Seahorse met another fish. How are you, Mr. Curtis? Asked Mr. Seahorse. Perfectly fine, replied Mr. Curtis. Mrs. Curtis laid her eggs, and I have stuck them on my head. Now I am taking good care of them until they hatch. You are doing a good job, said Mr. Seahorse, and he swam on his way. So here's Mr. Curtis. Oops, there you go. So he carries all his baby eggs on his head. As Mr. Seahorse drifted gently through the sea, he passed by a stonefish hidden behind a rock. There's the stone. Can you see the stonefish through the rock? I'm going to turn the page, take the rock off. There's the stonefish. He looks like a rock. He looks like a stone, different color stone. But before long, Mr. Seahorse met another fish. How are you, Mr. Pike? Asked Mr. Seahorse. Couldn't be better, replied Mr. Pike. Mrs. Pike laid her eggs along my belly. Now I'm taking good care of them until they hatch. You should feel very proud of yourself, said Mr. Seahorse, and swam on his way. So there's, what did they call that? A pipefish. So he's carrying all the babies along the bottom. And look at Mr. Seahorse's belly. His pouch is getting full. The babies are growing. But before long, Mr. Seahorse met another fish. How are you, Mr. Bullhead? Asked Mr. Seahorse. Tip-top, replied Mr. Bullhead. Mrs. Bullhead laid her eggs, and the eggs hatched. Now I'm babysitting. You are doing a fine job, said Mr. Seahorse, and swam on his way. So here's Mr. Bullhead and all his babies. The time had come for Mr. Seahorse babies to be born, for the Seahorse babies to be born. Mr. Seahorse wiggled and twisted, this way and that. At last the babies tumbled from Mr. Seahorse's pouch and swam away. One baby turned around and tried to come back into the pouch. Oh no, said Mr. Seahorse, I do love you, but now you are ready to be on your own. So there they are coming out of the patch, and look at them swimming away. See the one that tried to come back? Mr. Seahorse said, no, it's time for you to be on your own. And there's all the little babies on their own. So this is a nice book about the father of these fish carry the babies until they're born. All these different, the seahorse, the stickleback, the tilapia, the Curtis fish, the pipefish, they all carry, the father carries the babies until they're born. So I hope you enjoyed the story. It's really pretty pictures too. I hope you like that. I'll see you next time.